जो कुरुड़ में जब आप बॉर्न हुए थे तब आपका अर्ली चाइल्डहुड कैसा था?
We went to a government school. इंग्लिश बोलना एक्चुअल अलाउड नहीं होता है. बोल दो अगर अंग्रेजी तो बोले अंग्रेज चले गए तेरे को छोड़ के गए. I started writing ABCD when I was in 6th standard. This is the lesson number 1 of life. हमेशा छोटे लोग काम आते हैं.
तो आपके लिए कितना डिफिकल्ट था टू ट्रांजिशन फ्रॉम हिंदी मीडियम टू इंग्लिश मीडियम?
I made this 500 cards. हाथी को इंग्लिश में क्या बोलते हैं? तो हाथी को इंग्लिश में एलिफेंट बोलते हैं. तो मैं एक साइड हाथी लिखा और दूसरे साइड एलिफेंट लिखा. वो देख देख के I learned those 4,000-5,000 words. I started speaking and I was fearless. कोई हंसेगा तो हंसेगा. मेरे हॉस्टल में मेरे जो फ्रेंड्स थे, मेरा रैगिंग ही वही था कि तू 5 करेक्ट सेंटेंसेस इंग्लिश का बोल तो तेरे को हम कमरे में अंदर अलाउ करेंगे. Then you can sit with us. Something which was life-turning for me. That was my introduction to Rakesh Jhunjhunwala.
कौन से इंटरेक्शंस हुए?
तो he's one liner. जैसे अगर लड़की खूबसूरत है तो ब्याने वाले बहुत मिल जाए. But you can write a book on this one sentence. ऊपर जब चढ़ रहे हो ना तो आपकी नजर ऐसे कभी नहीं रहेगी. हमेशा आप नीचे देख के चलोगे. पर अगर फ्लैट सरफेस है और नीचे उतर रहे हो तो हमेशा आपकी नजर ऊपर रहेगी. तो जब तक आप नीचे झुके हुए हम्बल हो तब तक समझ जाओ आप चढ़ रहे हो. जिस दिन ऐसे हो गया तो समझ जाना उतर रहे.
You love to back champion entrepreneurs. आप क्या सवाल पूछते हो? आप कैसे असेस करते हो कि इस पे बेट लेना है?
I actually meet people a lot. I prefer to go to their houses, meet the family, possible have go and meal at their houses just to really understand the overall culture.
रिसेंटली कौन से कंपनी के प्रमोटर के घर पे आप गए थे टू हैव डिनर?
मैं
वीडियो देखने से पहले मेरी एक रिक्वेस्ट है आप सबसे. मैं YouTube एनालिटिक्स देख रहा था एंड वहाँ पर देखा कि 82.6% ऑफ माय ऑडियंस हु इज वाचिंग दिस कंटेंट हैज नॉट सब्सक्राइब टू द चैनल. अगर मैंने आपको थोड़ी सी वैल्यू प्रोवाइड की होगी एंड आपको अगर कंटेंट बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, आई रिक्वेस्ट ऑल ऑफ यू टू प्लीज हिट द सब्सक्राइब बटन सो दैट वी कैन ब्रिंग यू द बेस्ट क्वालिटी ऑफ गेस्ट एंड गिव यू द मैक्सिमम वैल्यू पॉसिबल. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर सब्सक्राइबिंग टू आवर चैनल एंड एंजॉय दिस एंटायर एपिसोड ऑफ कॉन्वर्सेशन विद कुशल. तो इसमें सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग मुझे पार्ट पता है क्या लगा था कि आप यू कम फ्रॉम छत्तीसगढ़ में देयर इज अ टाउन कॉल्ड कुरुड एंड वहां से टुडे यू हैव बिल्ट एन एम्पायर वर्थ थाउजेंड्स ऑफ करोर्स. इट्स वेरी वेरी इंस्पिरेशनल. तो इफ वी गो बैक टू चाइल्डहुड, तो आपने मतलब जो कुरुड में जब आप बॉर्न हुए थे तब आपका अर्ली चाइल्डहुड कैसा था? आप साइकिलिंग करके 30 किलोमीटर स्कूल जाते थे. पेरेंट्स से क्या सीखा? थोड़ा कैन वी स्पेंड सम टाइम ऑन योर चाइल्डहुड?
Yeah, so it's essentially this is a small village near Chhattisgarh, and we are 6 siblings, 3 brothers and 3 sisters. And my father was a farmer at that time, and we had a very small shop in the village. कपड़े की दुकान थी हमारी. So it was difficult for my father also to raise six children. You know how it is, in the early days. My grandfather expired when my father was only 2 years of age. So he had to go through a lot of difficulty in his early childhood. And but he was a very determined man. Touch wood, he lives with me, 94-year-old, but very, very determined person. So childhood was difficult. We went to a government school, which is like, RSS type की जो schools होती है ना, जहाँ पे really में English बोलना actual allowed नहीं होता है. बोल दो अगर अंग्रेजी तो बोले अंग्रेज चले गए तेरे को छोड़ के गए types, So I started writing ABCD when I was in 6th standard. So early days, you go to school, etc. And वहाँ पे क्या था कुशल, honestly, we hardly had any exposure per se, because you are living ultimately your boundaries are so small. So neither did I get any really big exposure to play some sports. I used to play badminton and all, but otherwise did not get any large exposure. So early childhood was difficult, but I must say that even in my school days, I was a decent student, and I would be among the top 2 or 3 always in the school. I used to study. You can't say that I was studious, but I used to study and make sure that. So my mother, who I lost 3 years back, she was a real phenomenal lady. Even she had not had much education, but she really raised us well, both my mother and father. And उन्होंने हमको, they did not methodically teach anything, but few things like have a good character to make sure that my father still tells me, अगर नियत अच्छी होगी तो बरकत पक्का मिलेगी, तो हमेशा नियत हमेशा अच्छी रखना. It's such a big thing that अब even today he will tell me, किसी के शादी में जाना है तो जाना, शादी में जाना है या नहीं जाना, दैट इज अप टू यू, अगर मरने में जरूर जाना. मतलब जब भी कोई दुख है, किसी को पेन है, कोई आदमी तकलीफ में है, उस समय उसका साथ मत छोड़ना. So I think those things have worked a lot for me in my professional career. That I've seen, biggest of my money I've made in companies where I've had a relationship with people for many, many years. And when the market actually provided opportunity, we were able to encash. So early childhood was very good, but I had something in me, I would say, that I was not happy there. So I had choices that I will pass on and I'll become a chartered accountant. And because my brother had become a chartered accountant, it's very easy that aap chartered accountant ban jao, and then you will get like 30-40 families का फाइल मिल जाएगा, 20-40 हजार रुपया आप महीने का कमाने लगोगे, and life will be settled. But to be honest with you, my brother's friend was a chartered accountant, and I actually used to live in his office. And office में पीछे साइड में घर था, तो मैं वहां पे देखता था, और what they used to do in terms of audit and those thick books of law and all. So somehow I was convinced that I don't want to do this because I was not made for that. So that's how then my friend Rahul told me that there's something called MBA. I heard maybe for the first time about this word MBA, maybe in second year or third year of my college. So he said this is Master of Business Administration. So the word actually itself sounded very good. That this looks good and we should explore this. So he was saying that मैं तो जा रहा हूँ, तू भी चल. Then as usual, people have basically I asked my uncles who are very well educated, etc. But they said that this is pure in English. It requires a lot of sophistication in your personality. Doing MBA at that time was a big thing. I'm talking of 1991. MBA was possibly the most in thing at that point of time, early on, right? So when but I was determined, and so was my brother and my father. My father actually told me that you go, and even if I have to sell my land for you can imagine for a farmer to say that I will sell my land is a very, very big thing, right? So he told me that you have to go and study. I am very sure that you will succeed in life, and I'm there to back you. So that's how I came to Bombay. That was in 1988. I vividly remember that was June 1998. I came to Mumbai.
Wow, very very inspiring and I can resonate to this because मैंने CA किया था. मेन रीजन था बिकॉज मेरे पापा CA कर रहे थे 1991-92 में, एंड अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो CA नहीं बन पाए थे, एंड इट वाज माय ड्रीम टू बिकम अ CA सो दैट हिज ड्रीम ऑफ बिकमिंग अ CA गेट्स फुलफिल्ड. तो मेरा जब CA फाइनल में ऑल इंडिया रैंक 5 आया था लकीली लाइक 2020 में, तब ही वॉज इन टू टीयर्स एंड ही वॉज लाइक, जो उन्होंने सपोर्ट किया था ना पूरा CA जर्नी में, आई थिंक किसी ने भी नहीं किया होगा, द सपोर्ट विच आई गॉट फ्रॉम माई पेरेंट्स. सो आई कैन वेरी वेल रेजोनेट टू योर आंसर.
But the real thing is, after I came to Mumbai, that is when the real thing started. आना तो बहुत आसान है. So we had no one. From my family, possibly no one had ever visited Mumbai, except for maybe for some medical reason of my cousin. but otherwise no one has ever visited Mumbai. We did not know anyone in Mumbai, right? But Rahul did knew some people in Mumbai. So we had got, Kushal, to be honest with you, we had got like, उस समय ये व्हाट्सएप का जमाना तो था नहीं, तो उस समय चिट्ठी लिख के देते थे, राइट? तो हमको 26-27 लोगों ने चिट्ठी लिख के दिया कि इनको हेल्प करना, whatever help you can do. You know how it was at that point of time. But we went to all the places, and the response was the same. And they were all well-wishers. That, you guys don't know how to speak English, you don't know how to converse, you have no real exceptional background, you have not gone to any big college, your exposure is very limited. And this is even if you get into MBA, it will be very, very difficult for you to pass through. And even if you pass through, it will be very difficult for you to sustain in the corporate world, right? So the advice was all right. So, but I was very determined. And after my father had told me कि मैं तो जमीन बेच दूंगा, there was no question of me going back. Absolutely, right? So then this is the lesson number 1 of life, right? So हम लोग फिर कुशल यहाँ पे there is one girl who we used to call her Guttu Didi, and she was from my village, and she had got married here in Bombay, and they used to live in Chaul near Vilepale. So I told my friend that we have gone to everyone and no one seems to be helping you, but I also have one small contact in Mumbai. Why don't we go there, right? So when we went there, she was very welcoming. Even though she was living in a chawl, etc. So she was very welcoming, and she said she was very happy to see me. That tu aaya hai Bombay se, ruk, and And then I told her that we have come, but and that time we could not afford, like we can't go and afford to stay in a hotel or anything. So she said that we are 5 of us living here. You can also live with us, and हम पराठा सब्जी खाते हैं तो भी खा सकता है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, जब तक कि you don't find an alternate accommodation, you can live here. So that was like, looking back, the real deep lesson which I learned. हमेशा छोटे लोग काम आते हैं. So it was and then we went across whole of Mumbai to look for hostels. Then we were very lucky to got admission in Sydenham College. I got admission in Sydenham College to do my MCom, and that's where I prepared for my MBA. And that is another big story, but that's for some other time. So it was quite a struggle actually to come up to this place.
एंड आपने बताया कि ABCD आपने फर्स्ट टाइम 6th स्टैंडर्ड में, 6th में पढ़ी थी, एंड यू स्टडीड इन अ हिंदी मीडियम स्कूल. आप MBA करने आए तब ये इंग्लिश मीडियम था. तो आपके लिए कितना डिफिकल्ट था टू ट्रांजिशन फ्रॉम हिंदी मीडियम टू इंग्लिश मीडियम?
डिफिकल्ट तो था, बट आई ऑलवेज अंडरस्टूड कि इंग्लिश इज जस्ट अ लैंग्वेज, इट्स नॉट ए, मतलब, एंड देयर आर, व्हेन आई यूज्ड टू सी देयर आर सेक्रेटरीज हु स्पीक very fluent English. So English itself should not be a handicap, and speaking English can be a big qualification to big succeed big time in life. So to that extent I was not worried. पर आई वो बोलते हैं ना, जब जरूरत होती तो आदमी अपने खुद सोच लेता है. तो I made these cards, I made this 500 cards, in which मैंने एक कार्ड में 10-10 वर्ड लिखे थे. तो सपोजिंग मुझे हाथी को इंग्लिश में क्या बोलते हैं, तो हाथी को इंग्लिश में एलिफेंट बोलते हैं, तो मैं एक साइड हाथी लिखा और दूसरे साइड एलिफेंट लिखा. सो वो देख के आई लर्न दोस 4-5,000 वर्ड्स, एंड then I started speaking, and I was fearless, right? कोई हंसेगा तो हंसेगा. That was like early on when I look at my life now. Most of the thing which I know, I've learned on my own. There's no one who has really as such taught me, right? There are a lot of people who have played that role of supporting me a lot in my life, but you have to evolve yourself. So when I look back, that was another thing, that if you really get humiliated sometime, that really hurts you. And that's how the best in you comes out. So don't worry about, feeling bad. And don't worry about someone making a mockery of you or someone laughing at you. Because when someone really laughs at you, that's when it touches your heart and touches your this thing. And that's where the determination to succeed comes from.
आपके साथ कभी हुआ है ऐसा?
बहुत बार वही अर्ली ऑन मुझे तो मेरे हॉस्टल में मेरे जो फ्रेंड्स थे, मेरा रैगिंग ही वही था कि तू 5 करेक्ट सेंटेंस इंग्लिश का बोल तो तेरे को हम कमरे में अंदर अलाउ करेंगे, देन यू कैन सिट विथ अस. सो बहुत बार हुआ है.
एंड देन आप कैसे रिएक्ट करते थे? लाइक
नहीं, but you get, that's why I'm saying you get even more determined. That if you know that आपके पास पीछे जाने का रास्ता नहीं है, which I was very clear on, तो फिर आपको आगे बढ़ना ही है ना.
वाओ, वेरी वेरी इंस्पिरेशनल. एंड इसमें मैंने आपका एक इंटरव्यू दिखा था जहाँ पर आपने बताया था कि आपने आपके एमबीए कॉलेज में सोमैया में एक इन्वेस्टमेंट कैंप करके स्टार्ट किया था InvestX नाम से. तो उसका क्या स्टोरी था, कैसे आपने चालू किया?
So that is the entrepreneurial thing, So when I was staying in in Sydenham College, I was always entrepreneurial. Even when I was living in my village, मैंने ग्रेजुएशन के टाइम में कम से कम 10 धंधे करे होंगे. मतलब कुछ भी जो मुझे दिखता था ना, someone which I can buy and sell. Tell you the most interesting story. Because see, money was not there. That was the reality. So हमारे गांव में ना साइकिल किराए से जाती थी. So if you have a bicycle, you like ₹2 घंटे का मिलता था. तो ROE was phenomenal of a bicycle. So I actually made friendship with a cycle store. I bought him 6 cycles. At that time, it used to cost like 500-600 rupees to buy a cycle. And I told him that, why don't we do partnership? So I'll keep my cycles here. And you put them on rent. And we'll do some sharing. So that provided me with a lot of cash flow when I was young. So I was like this entrepreneurial from the beginning only. So when I came here in the hostel in Sydenham Hostel, there was someone who just, one day I was sitting besides the phone, and someone made a phone call and said that I made 5,000. And that was something very kind of difficult for me to digest. How can someone make a call and make 5,000 rupees, right? So next day again I went, because उस समय हर्षद मेहता का दौर चालू हो गया था. That was stock market. So that's why then he explained me, that guy was nice, that this is something like stock market. That is the first time I heard the word stock market. And I will be very honest with you, that was really like love at first sight. यार ये ठीक ही लगता है, that I will really make my career into this. And then of course I got deeper and talked to, they are quite a good, Sydenham Hostel was a great place. It had best of the students who used to come from out of Bombay, and best of the people used to live there. So I got to know a little bit more about the stock market. And then I was very clear. In my MBA days, there were some 28 subjects. All subjects, I actually only did all my project work in stock market only. I remember even in organizational behavior, actually I went to the stockbroker office in second floor, गोयनका जी का ऑफिस था. मैं उनका organizational पूरा behavior के ऊपर मैंने project किया था. So my passion was very deep. And then, obviously because you are entrepreneurial, and I knew stock market में networking आपको जरूर चाहिए. That's how I got through this idea of InvestX. So at that time, information was very scarce. It is not like today's time. Even getting a balance sheet was a very big thing. And there were not so many TV channels that you have access to internet, etc., etc. We're talking of 90s, right? So we came up with this idea, why don't we become like a bridge, InvestX, investment tricks. So whatever are the tricks for making investment, why don't we organize a fair only for that? So we can invite all these companies who are doing this. There are some portfolio managers like Rajshekhar Iyer and all, they were there. So why don't we invite people like them and we organize a fair? So obviously the idea was not very well received by the college. What if it makes losses, etc. But all my friends were very supportive in the hostel. So we did it. It was a phenomenal success in those days. We made 1.5 lakh rupees on the first year of doing this fair, and it gave me personally a lot of confidence, honestly speaking. Yeah. And also made my network. At that time, I met with Vinod Ambani, Nana Lal Kidwai, and Mr. Fairwani at UTI, which I would not have found access to meet them. So actually, after I did the fair, I had 3 jobs already. Because see, they could see how entrepreneurial I was and what I was willing to do. So it was a great thing which we did, and of course then we repeated next year. I'm so glad to tell you that fair is still continuing.
Oh,
Maybe the
wow.
format should have changed. I saw in our alumni conversation that there was InvestX 25, and
Wow.
so that fair is still continuing.
So you started in 1990
1990,
and it's still continuing.
That's right, 35
Wow,
years.
it's 35 years. अभी तो आप गेस्ट स्पीकर की तरह जाते होगे वही फेयर में.
Yeah, actually, that was the high day for me. One of the year, the college called me as a chief guest for a convocation. It was very nice to go back to the college and be there.
Yeah. I mean, it feels surreal that the fest which you only organized and you were the pioneer of that. Now you're going as a chief guest. Yeah. So like amazing feeling. Let's also delve deeper into the Reliance fund days, where the Reliance mutual fund days, where you like were one of the best equity fund managers, and the returns also grew at a CAGR of 30%, if I'm not wrong.
I think 27-28%.
27-28%.
Yeah.
So can you talk about your friendship with Mr. Sunil Singhania, who was also there, and your partnership with him, and कैसे आपने scale किया था इतना AUM in those days?
So again, because of my sheer determination, one of my friend told me that if you want to succeed in life and you want to change gear, you need to change the canvas, right? Because unless and until you get into a big platform, you will not be able to really get the best out of your life and your skill set. So, and I asked him, which is the platform? And he said, Reliance is the best platform. And it was very difficult to get hired by Reliance in those days. Even now, it is difficult. So, but I got into Reliance, and I was very lucky. My boss was very supportive, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala and both Anil Bhai, they were very, very supportive. So, when I got in, this mutual fund was like 29th in 29 places, and they did not hire me to run the mutual fund. Actually, they just hired me because they found me entrepreneurial, and in early days I did some work which was very good from a group perspective. So they got that confidence that yes, I can do things. So one day I went and told my boss that there's nothing happening in the mutual fund. Why don't you allow me to run it? And my skill set is there. So he said that, okay, run it. And we had only 12 crore rupees, 6 crores in Reliance Growth Fund and 6 crore in Reliance Mutual Fund. So Amitabh had a lot of conviction because he had built Kothari Mutual Fund before, and he knew that the potential of mutual fund is very large in India. So he had a great vision. And so to that extent, he got an early start. I was the first one to join. And then Sunil was the next person. I must honestly confess that, Sunil is one of my really good friends in the business. And we have remained friends now for almost 25 years, right? It's like more a family. And then we hired Ashwani Kumar, we hired Sailesh Rajbhan, and we created a team. And the uniqueness, Kushal, of our team was, maybe it was by chance, that I did not hire anyone with the fund management background. I would not lie to you that it was by design. Maybe it was somewhere in that in my mind consciously that if we hire people with fixed ideas, they will try to replicate only those fixed ideas. So we wanted people who had. Sunil was not a fund manager before he came to Reliance. Neither was Ashwini. Ashwini was an analyst. Salesh was an analyst working somewhere. So we did not hire people with fund management background. So it was a great team. I was, of course, the leader, but it was a great team. And we built kind of a family, basically. And we were all very passionate about investing. And then, of course, the tailwind was there with us, 2002-3. Markets started doing well. And before that, something which was life-turning for me had happened before I joined Reliance, and I must converse about that. That was my really introduction to Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, because before I met with him, a stock market was really like the means to make only a better living for me. Like it was a source of income generation. I had no real idea, Kushal, of, that you can create thousands of crore rupees of wealth and how to become like a long-term investor and how to compound money, etc., etc. And by design, I had not read a lot of Warren Buffett books in early part of my career, right? So for me, I was very happy, even 91 to 98, till the time I met with him, because, I used to make a lot of money and it was a happy situation to be in. But when I met with him, that is when the real thought process changed. And I really, really realized the true potential of markets. Before that, I was trying to do broking. And that's all I realized that, if you are in a fund management business, you will get. So that was the real foundation. I met with him in 1999 and I joined Reliance in 2001. So
how did you get introduced to him?
I actually, I was a broker and I was very good at it, basically. So I used to work in Peregrine. And that time, basically, one of our clients was in difficulty and he wanted to sell 10% of McDowell's. And it was available for 15 crore rupees. And that was the entire empire of Vijay Mallya. So someone explained to me that why don't you go to meet Rakesh Jhunjhunwala and he can buy it, basically. And I was a broker. So I had to go and sell it. So I made a story that bhaiya, full 10% of the entire liquor market in India is available only for 15 crore rupees. And he was so good, so spontaneous. He understood that there is a potential and he made me sit and he understood who I was. And he was more trying to assess. And I had no appointment, nothing. And his office was an open office. You just can walk in. And I knew that he used to sit in his stock market. So I just walked in, and I told him that this 10% is available for 15 crores. He was quick, spontaneous. I'll buy it. But he asked me, how do I trust you? Then I gave him few references that these are people you can call. And actually, he is the one who introduced me to Amitabh Jhunjhunwala. And that's how I also got to know Reliance and this, that. So that was a real, if I have to take only one turning point of my life, that was it, meeting him.
Right. And over the next 20-25 years of being with him and under his constant guidance also, ऐसे क्या चीजें आपने सीखी, कौन से interactions हुए जिससे
बहुत. And he was, in a stock market, normally Kushal is a very competitive field. People don't want to talk about their ideas. They don't want to talk about their success. And that's how I am so open, because I am his true chela. Then I think knowledge only compounds by sharing it. If you share your stock idea, if I share my stock idea with you, even you will share yours with me. And that's how we can actually. So I'm not shy at all to talk about my ideas, but that again, it has come from him, basically. So, he was very, very good at this subject. I'm saying, in my 25 years of my career, I've not met anyone who comes anywhere near both combination of trading and investing. Of course, we all worship Radhakishan ji, and he was Rakesh Jhunjhunwala's guru also. And there are lots of very good people in the market, and over the years, lots of them have become very, very good. I'm talking about those early years. Then, I went and told him this story. And then I told him that I have a friend at Adia who is a friend of mine. I have sold you for 15 crores. I can place it for 20 crores if you want to sell it back. Because I was a broker, So he said, no, that's not how I invest. And then he will, he also developed a lot of liking for me, to be honest with you. And then I used to spend a lot of time with him. And he had it one-liner. So he was not like he would sit with a blackboard and teach with me or tell me that you read this book or you read that book. None of that. Basically, you learn out of interaction. तो his one-liner, जैसे अगर लड़की खूबसूरत है तो ब्याने वाले बहुत मिल जाएंगे. But it is so much depth from a stock market perspective. See what happens when we buy a stock, we are always worried कि कौन लेगा, इसको कोई फंड मैनेजर लेगा कि नहीं लेगा, इसका पी रेटिंग कैसे होगा, how will I sell it, etc. etc. But this one sentence कि लड़की खूबसूरत है तो ब्याने वाले बहुत मिल जाएंगे. Well, you can write a book on this one sentence. There is so much depth. So he had a lot of one-liners. He would say that highs are much higher than what you can think, and lows are much lower than what you can ever imagine. So normally in the market, what happens? When you buy a stock, it goes up 100, 200%, and you want to sell it, right? But again, if you truly understand the meaning of this, so he was very, very generous. And I had best of my time with him, even in the last few years of his life. I spent a lot of time with him. And he was always generous, always. And he was my first port of call, to be honest with you. After that, any idea I got, I would surely discuss with him. And again, even if he was not interested, at least he will guide me. He will tell me that this is not made for me, but you can possibly buy it, or you can sell it, etc., etc. So, a lot of things. And then not only about market, you learn so much about life. I learned from him. About how to be humble, about those characteristics which we used to see in him, Radhakishanji. It is unbelievable, right? A man of this stature was worth thousands and thousands of crores of rupees. Open his not even tucked in his shirt, and he can go and meet the Prime Minister of India, and not feel shy at all. So apart from markets, see, markets actually, Kushal, you can't and you should not look at in isolation. It is a virtuous cycle. If you really understand life and understand how various things function, they actually enable you to understand markets well. And if you understand markets really well, then possibly you understand life also. Like the word humility is a very simple word, right? But how many people can actually practice humility? How many people have you seen in your career? यहाँ से बस चाय से गरम केटली है. आजकल थोड़ा सा भी कुछ हो जाए आदमी के पास में, बट मार्केट्स टीचेस यू ह्यूमिलिटी. जब भी इधर लगता है ना कि मेरे को तो सब आगे है करके, ऐसा जोर का थप्पड़ पड़ता है, राइट? देयर इज सो मच मोर टू लर्न, देयर इज सो मच मोर टू गो, एंड देन अगेन यू बिकम काइंड ऑफ हम्बल. तो मार्केट में थप्पड़ खा के देयर इज नो चॉइस बट to be humble. And it is such a big character to succeed in life. Right? And that's why I said in one of my interaction with Anuj, you see how nature teaches us what is the role of humility. आप देखो आम के झाड़ पे जब आम का फल लगता है ना, तो लगता है तो एकदम ऊपर रहता है, राइट? पर वो जैसे जैसे पकता है ना, वो नीचे आते जाता है और झुकते जाता है. आप कभी ऑब्जर्व करना, राइट? वैसे ही जब आप कभी ऊपर जब चढ़ रहे हो ना, तो आपकी नजर ऐसे कभी नहीं रहेगी, हमेशा आप नीचे देख के चलोगे। पर अगर फ्लैट सरफेस है और नीचे उतर रहे हो ना मान लो, तो हमेशा आपकी नजर ऊपर रहेगी। तो जब आपको लाइफ में चढ़ रहे हो और जब तक आप नीचे झुके हुए हम्बल हो, तब तक समझ जाओ आप चढ़ रहे हो ऊपर। जिस दिन ऐसे हो गया तो समझ जाना उतर रहे।
Wow.
So the whole point is that some of these things, they are not directly related to markets, but that's how you really build relationship, right? We used to manage 1 lakh crore rupees. Can you understand? A guy from my background coming from a small village, वो अगर सर पे चढ़ना है तो वो कितना सर पे चढ़ सकता है? But because we learned that humility early on, we built some exceptional relationship with a lot of people in the whole market, in the corporate world. And that has become one of my biggest strengths today. But where does it come from? It doesn't come from any book.
Right. Very, very inspirational and such a wonderful lesson about humility. Since we are talking about Mr. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, I think I had read somewhere that he used to sit in Jeffries, which was his favorite place. And अगर कोई भी उन्हें approach भी करते थे तो वो लोग मतलब वो खुशी-खुशी stocks का नाम दे देते थे. And he used to share ideas also. Like he was not at all a man of like hiding ideas and all.
Never. He will be very generous, and that's how we are done. Not only with me, there are so many people who came. In fact, in 2001, he celebrated 9 of us, and he gave us award in 2001, saying that I am so convinced that nine of you will do really well in life. And there was Amal Parekh, there was Kalprat Dharamsi, there was Neeraj Roy of Hangama, and there was Lasit. There were 9 of us. He actually my 9 young entrepreneur friend. So he gave an award. So he was very generous, very unique person, very very helpful, always willing to help, and he would meet anyone. And अगर आप advice नहीं भी मांगोगे तो देंगे वो जरूर. If it is in your favor, जैसे अगर मिल जाते ना आपको ऐसे, तो आधी घंटा आपको भी सिखाते how you can do it better. And what you should be doing, and if you are making money out of it, how you should be making investment out of it in the markets.
Yeah, I was hosting Mr. Manish Chokhani, sir of Enam, and he shared one beautiful anecdote that he had written one article, Nirvana of Capital Markets, in 2008, and Rakesh sir liked that article so much that he framed Manish sir's article on his wall in his office wall, and he called Manish Chokhani sir, stating that this is your article, like I really liked it, मैंने इसकी frame बना दी है मेरे office में, and that motivated like Manish sir so much that it was like there was no need of doing this, but still he called and it motivated Manish sir very much.
So you are quite a unique person, and I must tell you, significant. Obviously, there is a God's grace and blessings of my parents and my hard work, but I must say, I don't know what my life would have been without him or without his guidance, and I must truly say I really, really miss him a lot. There are days when I just go back to YouTube and I just listen to his voice and his videos, even today, and that still inspires me a lot. Talking about Sunil, and in between we lost that. I must say, Sunil again is a great friend, and Sunil and me made really the best complement partner. I was always very entrepreneurial, very optimistic, and Sunil is always very balanced. He read the balance sheets very, very well, and so he kind of made the two of us made a very, very good team and a balanced team, and so that we did not miss out on a lot of opportunities. And at the same time, we made sure, because of his diligence, because of his ability to read through financial statement, understand big picture, we did not commit a lot of mistakes. So it was, in a way, the whole Reliance journey was, I should not take disproportionate credit and say that I was the one who did it. It was the team. I was a very important member of the team, but it was the team, and Sunil was a very important member of the team. And even today, we are best of the friends. We discuss, we talk to each other very, very frequently, discuss ideas even today. And it's more like a family.
How difficult was it for you to convince him to
Nothing,
join
not at all,
Reliance?
not at all. And see, those days was to get a role as a fund manager. It was not. And see, मेरे को तो इतना समझ भी नहीं था, to be honest with you. So in Reliance, I actually did not put my name as fund manager in any of the schemes. I hired all these guys and I put their names that they were the fund managers and I was the head of equity at that point of time. So I don't think it was difficult. We had only 2 or 3 sessions. And he also liked, meeting me, working along with me. And it was a shift from him. He was working in Adani Brokers. He came, it was good, very good break for him.
Got it. And I also read somewhere that Peregrine, where you were working, it got wound up in
Yeah, it got wound up.
99.
It got wound up.
Got it. And then you shifted.
Yeah, that's when I shifted to Reliance. Then I changed 1 or 2 jobs in between.
Okay.
कि बस कुशल अपना कुछ पैसा वैसा था नहीं ना अपने को कुछ ज्यादा समझता आज अपनी स्टोरी कुछ भी बना सकते हैं but at that time the primary criteria was that if someone is willing to hire you for a better financial and the job is good related to stock market, I would go there. So the Peregrine job was a very good job. And then I got into the company called Banco Santander that did not last for long. But that's when I decided that I'm not going to work for a foreign firm. I'm not going to be doing broking. And that's how I got into Reliance.
Okay. And as we are talking about people who have influenced you, what has been the impact or influence of Sadhguru on you?
Oh, wow. So I met Sadhguru through my friend Abhay Aima. Unfortunately, he is no longer there now. Abhay used to work with HDFC Bank, and he was our main distributor of our mutual fund. So he was involved in Isha, and he took me to the ashram for the first time in 2016-17. So at that time, honestly, I had no clue about spirituality, and they said, you are in building career. So I thought, if nothing else, chalo, kuch networking ho jayega. So we went there, 4 of us, and I could not say no to you, Abhay. So we went there, and it was good interaction. Then I went to Kailash Mansarovar with Sadhguru. And that was like the first time I would have taken like 16, 17 days off from the market. And that was very, very good, I must say. And that's when I took a decision to leave Reliance. Actually, at the peak of the Mansarovar is when I took a decision that, yes, I need more time for my own self-development. I need to, get more involved to do work on my own. And that's how I went to Sadhguru is again a big, big, big influence on my life. In fact, I would strongly suggest you, because you are young and age is by your side, you should do this course in an engineering. Go to the ashram and do the course. It, kind of gives you a perspective. It shifts you. So what, again, it's not Sadhguru has taken blackboard and taught me anything. I have learned a lot seeing what he is talking and in his conversations, etc., etc. So the essential thing about life, Kushal, is that if your body is at ease, there will be no disease. I repeat again. If your body is at ease, which means your mind, your body, your emotions, your energy, if they are all coordinated and in one direction, that then the potential of life is phenomenal. And that is something I really learned from Isha. It is very early days for me. I'll be very honest with you. And I think, but it has kind of shifted my focus from that, from all the time hustling to making endless trips, etc., etc. why I've realized that, if you work with a lot of focus, and that's what you get. If you have some kind of a spiritual angle to your life, then that focus, that commitment, that determination actually comes out of it. Like when I do my yogic practice, I have to do a particular thing in a particular manner. There's no real shortcut. And I hope more of it gets reflected in my life. And it will be really, really beautiful. Like, when you are doing yoga, you're doing it with particular intensity, in a particular fashion, with a particular way, right? If those things with that kind of commitment start getting reflected in your life, it will be beautiful, basically.
So वो 17 days exactly आपने क्या किया था?
हम लोग वहाँ गए थे, मानसरोवर गए थे, कैलाश, and it was a journey. We went to Nepal, then we went to China, Lhasa, and then from there we climbed. It was a beautiful experience.
Got it.
Yeah.
And उसके बाद फिर आपने decide किया that you will start something of your own.
Yeah, वहीं से मैंने चालू किया, and that's how we started this MK Venture, my own outfit.
2017.
2017. That's
okay.
right. That's right.
Got it. तो इसमें like also talking about your frameworks when it comes to investing, तो आपके बहुत सक्सेस स्टोरीज पता है, आपके डीवी स्लैब की स्टोरीज बहुत पॉपुलर है, चॉइस इंटरनेशनल का काफ़ी पॉपुलर है. बट बिफोर वी गेट इनटू द फ्रेमवर्क या कि कैसे असेस करते हैं स्टॉक, जस्ट वन क्विक क्वेश्चन कि व्हाट हैज़ बीन योर बेस्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट एंड वर्स्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट सो फार इन योर एंटायर करियर?
So there have been a lot of best investments and a lot of worst investment in that sense. And so I would say companies like Divi's, Siemens, JSPL in very early days, and off late companies like Trill, Choice. We have made number of investments who have been, like, if you may call it, multi-baggers, right? So we've made number of investments. We have made number of mistakes also. Like we lost a lot of money in companies like Jayaprakash Associate, even when I was working on all of this IVRCL type of companies, a lot of power companies. And even now, we keep making mistakes. That's part of life, right? You buy something, out 100 out of 100 will never work. But as long as, see, there are only two things. As long as 60, 70 of them are working, and your bet is not very large in things which have not worked, but really large in things which have worked, that is the real difference. So that there is no problem in committing mistakes. It's what Bhaiya used to tell. You should commit a mistake which you can afford. And then in the stock market, you will survive.
Right. So इसमें biggest setback or maybe biggest failure जब आया था आपके लाइफ में, you made a lot of money but still बाद में like you lost money in stock markets. So after achieving success in stock markets, तब mindset फिर कैसा होता है कि अगर stock price नीचे हो गए, पैसा खो दिया, तो how did you tackle that setback? और
तो कुशल बहुत साइकोलॉजिकल बहुत प्रेशर होता है, बिकॉज जैसे कैसे किसी को कोई बचपन से अंधा है ना, तो उसको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती है, ही लर्न टू डील विथ लाइफ. पर किसी को आंख आने के बाद अंधा हो जाए ना, तो उसको बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती है. दैट्स हाउ इट इज विथ मनी, राइट? इफ यू डोंट हैव इट, देन देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम, then you learn to deal with it. But if you have lot of it and then you lose it, तो pressure तो होता ही है. I would lie to you if I say pressure नहीं होता है. But the pressure used to be much higher, to be honest with you, before I got into Isha and before I got into these practices. But it is much lesser now. When now I know, we've learned to deal with it, and we know it is part of life, and we know that if we stick to this game, right, we will make it up again. So and mistakes का एक बहुत अच्छा चीज मैं आपको बोलता हूँ. Everyone is allowed to make mistakes. Even I am allowed to make mistakes. There is no problem at all. You should make a mistake which you can afford, and you should try not to repeat the same mistake again. If you don't repeat the same mistake again, then you commit new ones. There will not be many which you can commit after 25 years of experience.
Right. So I think, yeah, 2 points are very important. Never repeat your mistakes and commit a mistake which you can afford.
Absolutely.
That is very important. And इसमें like we talking about the best investments and understanding your framework कि आप क्या सोचते हो before investing in a company. With the latest examples, like I've got to know, like I was just checking your portfolio on internet as well कि Waaree Energies is something that you've invested in. And जो latest investments का examples लेके आप क्या identify करते हो एक company में, both on the quantitative side as well as the qualitative side.
Let's spend some honest time here.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to be, because you are a young person, and I also saw through what you have created. So I want to be very candid.
Yeah.
And
thank you so much.
So see, what I take is a real broad judgment on the investment. So I'm not that second decimal EBITDA person who will make lengthy spreadsheets and lengthy models and etc. to decide on companies, right? So let's talk about Waaree. So when I decided to invest in Waaree, I had attended a conference in Surat, wherein they talked. The person who was presenting, he was Jayant Sinha, actually, the minister, and he said that carbon is going to be a very big thing, and if we don't do anything about climate change, and he had this very interesting slide that at least 25 cities in the world will have more than 60 degrees temperature. And that kind of stuck in my mind. And then I developed that theme more and more. And more I read about it. See, reading is very important in investing. The more I read about it, more I understood that come what may. It's like COVID. If you have a problem, world has to solve it. And there will be a solution. Right? At that time, the world actually comes together. So it's nothing like COVID was a time frame problem. This is also like that kind of problem only. That if the temperatures in 25 cities is going to be like 60 degrees, there will be no life left. Leave alone what will we do with all the money and all this podcast and all that. So it is stuck in my mind that this carbon neutrality is a very big theme. So then we started looking at these ideas. And when I met Hitesh Bhai, absolutely phenomenal, first meeting itself. Very humble, again, very committed. And he's been an entrepreneur. He's been at this for 20 years. And in solar, at that point of time when I invested, actually the inflection point had happened. See, solar is not a new source of energy. But let's say 10 years back, it was like 10 crore or 12 crore, 15 crore per megawatt. So it needed subsidy for it to succeed. But now it doesn't need any subsidy. You can actually, the electricity generated by solar is actually much cheaper than what you generate from coal and all, right? So it has to expand it has to expand big time. So when we met, it was like 4,500 crore valuation, and a great entrepreneur with the business already started coming from the US. So they already had thousands of crore rupees of order visibility. And what I understood was that they will not require debt, nor they will require equity. Right? So that's when it struck me. And obviously we did all the numbers, etc., what the possibilities are. But see, जब मार्केट में जब आप इन्वेस्ट करते हो ना कुशल, तो दो चीज होता है हमेशा. या इतना कंपेलिंग होता है कोई आइडिया कि बहुत ज्यादा एनालिसिस करने की जरूरत नहीं होती है, और दूसरे साइड में वो वैल्यूएशन इतना ज्यादा महंगा होता है कि आप कितना भी एनालिसिस कर लो उसमें से कुछ निकलेगा नहीं. So if you know how to have a broad framework, and if you understand that the business has tailwind, which is very, very important for investing, if you've got a great entrepreneur and you've got reasonable valuation, then it's just a lethal combination. उसके बाद फिर बहुत ज्यादा मैं एनालिसिस नहीं करता हूँ ऑनेस्टली. एंड माई ऑलवेज अप्रोच इज फिर मैं इन्वेस्ट करूंगा पहले and then I will investigate. So of course, then I will go do more work, etc. And then so we bought Waaree at 4,500, then we bought at 13,000, and we bought at a later date. So we kept on adding. And of course, now if you have to tell me to buy it at 80,000 crores, it will require a different kind of work than what it required at 4,000 crores.
And what about like let's say metrics like ROC, ROE, PAT growth, revenue growth? तो वो सब financials पे आप कितना weightage
पूरा
दोगे?
देते हैं, पूरा देते हैं. चार चीज देखते हैं basically. You have to look at free cash flow. You have to look at ROE, ROC, and you have to make sure that this business will not require frequent equity dilutions, because that is very unfriendly for wealth creation. If you look at companies which have generated phenomenal wealth, be it Divi's, be it Asian Paint, be it a lot of these multinational companies like Nestle and all, because they have never diluted capital. So if you get into a company which generates enough cash on their own and does reinvestment, then you have a real winner in hand. And I am sure companies like Waaree and all will not dilute capital very frequently. And I must honestly say, I am still a very large shareholder of Waaree.
Got it.
Yeah.
And recent investments में और कौन से examples हो गए and what would be the reason of picking that particular stock?
So same theme we bought, I'm a big fan of Adani Group.
Yeah.
And personally a big fan of Gautam Bhai. And again, Gautam Bhai is someone I've known for many, many years. I got to know him when I was in Reliance Mutual Fund. That time Adani Power IPO was there. So again, there is a lot of good ideas which are there, which have come from his group, and we've been a beneficiary. Some of the stocks I still own. So that has been one good thing. We bought this company called Transformer and Rectifier. Again, it was kind of the same theme. It is carbon neutrality. Because to transmit energy wherever it is made, you will require companies which can build that infrastructure. Transformer is a very important part of that infrastructure. And this company was available at some 1,500 crore market cap. And the CFO of the company came and met me. It didn't take me a long time to decide. I actually instantaneously, like in 2 hours, I made a decision. And we invested 120 crores. And I'm glad to say that it's been a very fruitful investment. We sold quite a lot, and it's been a very fruitful investment for us.
Got it. And आपका first interaction with Mr. Gautam Adani कैसा था? And आपने उनसे क्या सीखा है पूरे life के through?
Again, phenomenal. And I would say that, it's been very fortunate to get access to these people, get quality of time from them, etc. So Gautam Bhai is a powerhouse in himself, his vision. B, he is absolutely fearless, never afraid of failure. And third, capital allocation. That, he is very, very clear that he doesn't want to, even though he's building empires. But if you look at the Adani Group, essentially they are into logistics and power. That's the two broad businesses they are in. So they don't get here and there. And the biggest thing is execution. Because life, we see, there is a world of difference between knowing what to do and doing it. That is essentially Gautam Adani. Then everyone knows what to do. But how many people can actually do it? He is one of them who's proven that he can do it. What a phenomenal story. Not only in India. I don't think there's very few parallels in the world of this level of execution and with this level of success.
Right. And क्वांटिटेटिव फैक्टर्स पे तो आई थिंक आपने बताया कि वो मेट्रिक्स वगैरह आप देखोगे, बट लाइक स्पेंडिंग सम टाइम ऑन द क्वालिटेटिव फैक्टर्स आल्सो. You said in one of your interviews you love to back champion entrepreneurs. तो how do you define a champion entrepreneur? I think आपने थोड़ा बता दिया कि ओके एम्बिशन एंड कैसे उसको स्केल करना है, बट आप जब असेस करते हो एक प्रमोटर को मिलके, आप क्या सवाल पूछते हो, आप कैसे असेस करते हो कि इस पे बेट लेना है? क्वालिटेटिव फैक्टर्स.
ये कैसा है मैं बोलूं आपको ना, जैसे आप कोई कपड़े के व्यापारी को मिलोगे ना, तो वो कपड़े को ऐसे करके देखता है. यूज्ड टू सी माय फादर, बिकॉज वी हैड अ क्लॉथ शॉप. तो उसको पता चल जाता है कि 20 रुपए मीटर वाला कपड़ा कौन सा है, 2000 रुपए मीटर वाला कपड़ा कौन सा है. सो देयर इज नो लाइक quantitative way of defining these things. You meet a person and you have interaction with him. You get to understand, what is his framework of his thought process, how ambitious he is, what kind of team he can build, what kind of execution he can do. And if he succeeds, whether he will actually share his wealth with you or not. So this is basically interaction. And if you meet a right entrepreneur in the wrong business, again, because we have seen examples of so many good people, but they got into wrong businesses. Let's say there are 15 companies which got into telecom business where there was a tremendous competition. A lot of them were very good companies. Like Vodafone was a great company, but it was wrong time at the wrong environment. And you see what happened to even a company like Vodafone. So combination of right entrepreneur in the right space at the right time is what truly makes an investment. And I actually meet people a lot. I prefer to go to their houses and meet the family basically.
Okay.
I make it a point that I meet the family. If possible, I have go and meal at their houses just to really understand the overall culture. Again, whether there is humility, there is hunger, there is consistency in the family values, etc., etc. So I have my own way, but touchwood has worked well.
Wow. Recently कौन से कंपनी के प्रमोटर के घर पे आप गए थे टू हैव डिनर और लंच?
मैं तो जाता ही हूँ बॉस. मैं अभी तो कोई भी कंपनी में मैं इन्वेस्ट करता हूँ, तो आई गो एंड meet people at their family level. I get to know the people because now the bed sizes are also much higher. So you have to spend more time. Talking about Adani, the next generation of Adani is absolutely phenomenal. All the four children who are there, who are now really at the helm of affair, they are very, very good. So when you meet them, you also inspire a lot of confidence.
So basically the way you assess is again like by talking to them more, spending more time with them, going to their houses, having meals with them, and उससे आपको humility वगैरह वो सब समझ आता है.
Yeah, not in every case. Then you meet a person a few times, these days ना मैंने एक देखा है कि consistently झूठ बोलना बहुत tough होता है. You meet someone once, you meet someone twice, then you know whether the person is telling you what should be told or actually is meaning what he means, right? So those things have come out of experience now. So it doesn't take much time to assess whether this is a promoter we can bet on.
Got it. And इसमें one more question I had कि I've heard from the industry that you are a very, very good negotiator also. Whenever you go in deals, you negotiate very well. And how difficult it becomes for you to, let's say, convince a company कि आपको allocation देना है versus like there are a lot of other investors also जिनको allocation चाहिए होता है. So then ये deal making कैसे होता है, negotiations कैसे होते हैं? Because for us we don't know anything. तो ये कैसे होता है?
Of course we would like to buy things as cheap as possible. We would like to have margin of safety, and that also determines what kind of return you make. But I think that also goes by your own reputation, the character, right? What you have built over a period of time, and people know that we will be genuine, we will be helpful wherever we can. And, a lot of the times people know how to create profit, but they don't know how to convert into value creation. So that experience of ours over the years, and even the relationship of ours in the capital market is something which companies definitely benefit from. All right. So I have seen in majority of the cases, we've been able to convince people. And there have been cases where, they were getting 100 and we were asking for 80. And there have been a lot of cases where people have come and dealt with us at 80 rupees. And they've been very happy that, yes, we did the transaction and it was a great thing to do.
Got it. And if we just talk about some themes and sectors, अभी बहुत अलग अलग sectors है market में. आप कौन से 3-4 sectors पे bullish हो? आपको लगता है ये sectors अच्छे perform करेंगे in the near future?
So as I said, climate change and carbon neutrality still remains one big sector to bet on. And I think इसमें कुशल जो important बात है ना, जैसे मेरे को हो सकता है, let's say if you identified the world internet in 2000, how much money you think the world has made by just that word internet? Number is staggering. Maybe $25 trillion of wealth has got created from that one word internet. Now, whether it is Apple, whether it is Google, whether it is Amazon, if high-speed internet had not come, a lot of these companies would not have grown the way they have grown, right? How we don't know how big this carbon neutrality theme will be, how big the challenges of climate change will be, how the world will deal with it. But the important thing is, this is a large theme, but it will not work all the time. So just because you identified a theme and you buy any share which is linked to carbon neutrality at any price, you're not going to make money, right? So within that, then you have to understand cycle, you have to understand valuation, what to buy, when to buy. And that is the softer skills of the market. So I would say this theme has a lot of legs, but you have to be careful that you should not buy it at any price. Like I gave you an example of Trill. We bought it. We found it very cheap. And we sold also because we felt that maybe there will be some better opportunity to invest money will be there.
Right, fair. And can you also talk about your story of investment in Radico Khaitan? वो कैसे story हुई थी?
So again, that was a very large theme, and I met Abhishek and I found him very, very passionate about creating brands in very, very early days. And liquor has a tremendous potential because we are a young country. We are a very, very dynamic country in that sense with young population. So obviously liquor will continue to be a large theme. So we invested first time in Radico, maybe about 8-10% of the company at 100 crore valuation. At that time, that was long back, maybe 2004-5. I met with him, met to his house, and really liked the way he was young, aggressive. His father is an exceptional person. So again, met with the family, developed confidence. ये कुशल क्या है ना, ये जब सब वैल्यूएशन इतना हलवा है ना, 100 करोड़ में आपको रेडिको मिलता था, मतलब 8 करोड़ लगा के you could buy like 8%, 10% of Radico. It didn't require. And again, when I bought personally Radico, at that time also it was like still 1,500 crore market cap. They had gone through their own cycle, they had got some excess debt, there's some issues in between in the company, but the story was still intact. So this is it, right? So 2000 to 100 crore, that 100 crore maybe became few thousand crores by 2008, right? And then after 10 years, the same story was available for 1,500 crores. So when you understand the cycle, then the bigger skill is, when to buy also. Because it's not that I am not a believer, quality at any price or any theme at any price. I don't believe in that. I would like to make sure कि बस अपने 1 रुपए का 3 अठन्नी तो कम से कम मिलना चाहिए अपने को.
मैंने एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग आर्टिकल पढ़ा था फोर्ब्स में, जहाँ पर मेंशन किया था कि आपने एक बार स्पाइसजेट स्टॉक खरीदा था बाय टॉकिंग टू वन ऑफ द एयर होस्टेसेस आप जब फ्लाइट में जा रहे थे, तो उसका क्या स्टोरी है?
सब स्टोरी भी है बस. We bought that, again, at that time they were building up. SpiceJet was very cheap, 10-12 रुपए का भाव था, and I had a 1-hour interaction. So we got to know the culture and got understood that not only talking to her, then of course we went and met management, and Sunil had done some work on the balance sheet, and the tailwind was there. So, for every investment you make, there has to be a thesis. So I'll just summarize it. So what does it really make a good investment? You have to be able to identify a very large scale of opportunity, right? Second, that opportunity must have tremendous tailwind. Third, within that, if you can get a great entrepreneur who is ambitious, who has the ability to build large businesses, who is focused on execution, and who has demonstrated team building, etc., right? And is conscious of capital allocation, right? But that is the other part where we made a lot of mistake, that we met all of these entrepreneurs who qualified everything, but they went haywire in capital allocation, right? So that is the fourth point. And then all of it you get at a good valuation or a reasonable valuation, wherein the margin of safety is very, very high with you. So this is kind of broad framework. So if I get a bottom up idea, let's say supposing अभी मैं आपसे बात करूंगा, आप मेरे को कुछ भी बॉटम अप आइडिया दोगे ना, तो सबसे पहले मैं देखूंगा कि धंधा कितना बड़ा हो सकता है. So I have wasted a lot of my time of my life actually investing into very, very small companies. And that is my regret, to be honest with you, that, we invested and wasted so much time into very, very small companies. Because ये framework का understanding ऐसा नहीं मेरे को 20 साल पहले हो गया था. This is what we have developed over a period of time. And अभी भी इसमें बहुत काम होना बाकी है. But I wish I had this understanding at your age, 25 years back. Life would have been much, much different, much bigger. Maybe the outcomes would have been much, much bigger. But we identified so many companies, including Divi's. But is Divi's a large portion of my portfolio today? No. Because in between the market noise, sometimes some inspection, someone saying that this is that is a better opportunity, we ended up selling it up. Otherwise, that investment would have been like more than 1,000 times. 1,000 times.
Wow.
If I just bought it, reinvested the dividend, and did nothing with that money, it would have been more than 1,000 times.
Wow.
That's the power of markets.
Correct. Divi's का भी मैं पढ़ रहा था, बहुत interesting story था. आपने ticket खरीदा and you sat next to Murli Divi and you spoke to him.
Yeah, it was very nice, very kind of him.
Yeah. And last couple of questions. So one was this, that मैंने एक इंटरव्यू में आपके सुना था कि you have stopped wearing a watch since 5 years. Is that true, and क्यों?
Yeah, actually it's true. I'm not wearing a watch. And see, I've got now so passionate about investing as an idea. To be honest with you, it's no longer my profession or my business. And that's one of the issues my family has with me, that now you have everything. Why so much hunger even now, and why so much passion? मुझे लगता है the watch should not govern my life. जब मैं उठूं तो मैं काम करने लग जाऊं, जब थक जाऊं तो सो जाऊं. So why should, in that sense, if I have to see the time, phone is there.
Yeah. Wow. मतलब इतना passionate towards your work that you don't need a clock to see कि अभी कितना time हुआ है.
Actually जरूरत क्यों होना चाहिए? If you see logically.
Correct. And global investors में से आप किसको admire करते हो? Who you look up to, and आपने कौन से global investors से क्या सीखा है?
So I think I'm not actually. Obviously, everyone has read Warren Buffett. I have read about George Soros. I will read maybe 1 or 2 books on Peter Lynch. So there are lots of good investors who have been globally. But मैं बोलूँ ना, मेरा ये conclusion है. See, this is a thing you can't copy from anyone, and you should not try to copy from anyone. is a thing which you have to develop your own style on your own. See, the crux of the matter is that let's say supposing आपको एक एग्जांपल देके बोलता हूँ. I believe in long-term investing, right? Or for instance, now Asian Paint is a beautiful company. If I bought Asian Paint, let's say 6 years back, and मेरा इतना बड़ा बुल मार्केट चल रहा है इंडिया में, और 6 साल में मेरा पैसा ना बने, तो मैं ऑनेस्टली बोलता हूँ मेरा हीमोग्लोबिन डाउन हो जाएगा. Because I can't emotionally deal with it. There are lots of people. Asian Paint is a phenomenal company. It has generated unbelievable wealth for people who have bought and hold. And there are lots of people who will see this as a cycle, right? And in that cycle, few years, if you don't make money, it's fine. There's absolutely no problem, and it will continue to do really well because they are market leader. But do I have the emotional quotient to deal with situations like this? So if I just blindly follow anyone, I read a book and say that, this is supposing someone watches this podcast of mine and just blindly tries to follow me. And if he is made to just make investment and just keep it compounding. So you have to build your own thesis in this market, and you have to build your own principle, and you have to build things which you can live with. And that only will come out of your openness about investing. One of the things, people ask me, what is my investment style? I say, I'm an opportunistic investor. And I have no shame in that. I am only chasing opportunities. I am not saying that I'm value investor and I'm a growth investor. I will not buy commodities, or I'll not buy EPC companies. If it is available at a value, and if it meets my criteria of return, and if he's an ethical promoter, I will be very open to evaluate it. Within that, what percentage of my portfolio will I put there? So that even if I go wrong, that's a completely different thing. But I will not be closed. So there are lots of people who will not buy, let's say, EPC companies. We made tons of money in EPC companies after COVID, because it was very clear that government will have to do the front loading of capex, and these are the companies which will end up executing.
Right. Very, very insightful and a very interesting conversation. Last question, which is a tricky one. If you were in the shoes of Kushal Lodha and if you were interviewing Mr. Madhusudan Kela, what is one question you would like to ask him towards the end?
So, more than the question, I would tell you one thing, that, the people who are watching this, there are some people who would have come from my kind of background or even more difficult background. There are lots of people, leave alone, mera to kya story hai, kuch bhi nahi hai boss. Look at the stories in India, Narendra Bhai or Gautam Adani, or there are tons, hundreds of people who have all come from very humble beginning and who have made it 100 times, 1,000 times bigger than me, and so many other people, right? So the important key message is that you should never be overwhelmed by anyone. Like, you should not think कि मेरे लिए difficult है, या वो अच्छा इतना अंग्रेजी बात करता है, इतना अच्छा कोट पहनता है, इतना अच्छे से he is son of some very big person. I think all that helps. That's not like a big handicap for you. If you are determined, if you are passionate, if you are willing to put the hard work, then you will get there. But ये क्या है? You can't define a time in which you want to succeed. But that's not how life works. You have to be at the game, and you have to make sure that you are keep on putting that effort without worrying about success or failure. And then फिर एक दिन आता है, then life truly rewards you. So that the first key message is, even if you are from a small village or a small town, or if you don't have background, if your father is not rich, is not well connected, you are not very well educated, none of it is, all of these are helpful criteria maybe to succeed in life, but they are not breaking criteria. That if you don't have all of this, it's not that you can't make it in life. There are hundreds of examples. Second, about stock market, I must tell you, see, stock market is a phenomenal business. It's a true business of businesses, wherein you have the actual flexibility to choose what you want to do and what you don't want to do. You can see, I like the steel business today. I can be invested in a steel business. Tomorrow I like pharma. I can be invested in pharma. Day after I like something else. I can be. If you're married to some other field, then you're married for life. And you do have to go through cycles on your own. In the stock market, you can actually make those cycles as your friend. And you can optimize. Right? So this is where you actually meet people with huge amount of intellect, right? And these days it's become much easier to get access information, this, that. But the problem, Kushal, is, everyone wants to succeed like this. Everyone wants to say, मेरे को 1 करोड़ 10 करोड़ कैसे कमाना है. तो बॉस, आप जाके अभी बोलोगे स्टॉक मार्केट में आना है और मैं एफएनओ का ट्रेडिंग चालू कर देता हूँ और मेरे को 1 करोड़ इमीडिएटली कमाना है, तो वो तो नहीं लाइफ में चलता है ना, राइट? सो in anything to succeed, why stock market only? If you are methodical, if you are willing to put that effort, and if you have the patience, as Bhaiya used to say, in the market, your patience will be tested many a time, but ultimately your conviction will be rewarded. So it's true about making a career in the market, and it is also true about making an investment in a particular stock. So that is the second point I would say, that it's a phenomenal, tremendous field for people who have had patience. But if you look at it, even though the opportunity was for everyone, why only, let's say, 1,000 people or 5,000 people have made a lot of money in the stock market? Because as much easy as it may look like, it's also very difficult. Right?
Yeah.
And that difficulty you only overcome if you spend time, if you are sincere, if you continue to be passionate, if you're willing to put that hours and hours of effort. मैं अभी भी बोलूं आपको, कुशल, सपोजिंग आज मैं बोल दूं ना, मेरे को तो सब आ गया है, मैं मार्केट के बारे में सब जान गया हूं, मैं बोलता अभी चलो रिलैक्स करते हैं, एंड बिकॉज आई मधु केला, आई कैन इन्वेस्ट इनटू इट, कुछ नहीं हुआ, ऐसा थप्पड़ पड़ेगा ना, तो मतलब 1 हफ्ते 1 महीने के अंदर होश ठिकाने आ जाएगा. यहाँ पे क्या है, नजर हटी कि दुर्घटना घटी. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to be at it. This is a game, a very dynamic game. You can't take things for granted. So and the third thing will be that, you be an open person. Always willing to learn, always willing to try. Be humble enough that anyone can teach you. Even your driver can teach you a very big lesson. So in the markets, again, the ideas can come from anyone. The best of my ideas have come from very ordinary people. They've not been invention of mine.
Oh.
But those people gave a hint. They gave some name. But then I had to work hard.
Yeah.
And then I had to develop it. They have to develop my own conviction into those ideas.
Yeah. So can you give some examples कि ordinary people से आपको मतलब कैसे
वो कोई
interactions
नॉर्मल
हैं?
चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट कभी आके बोलता है, जैसे आपने बोला ना, मैंने वो स्पाइसजेट के सेक्रेटरी से बात किया, द आइडिया ऑफ एविएशन दैट मिलियंस ऑफ पीपल आर गोइंग टू फ्लाई, etc., etc. So the idea can come to you from, you are reading a newspaper, the idea can come. But that doesn't mean that you will make money.
Yeah.
See, in the stock market, identifying something, doing work on something, taking a bet, holding down to a stake, and really going through the volatility, these are all different skills. You don't make money just by identifying a company. You don't make money just by buying some ideas. You make money when you are able to identify, you're able to really go and really take a significant exposure. Then you have to have the skill to monitor that company properly. And then you have to have the skill of going through that volatility in your investment. I have seen so many companies in my portfolio go down 50%, 60%. Like you talked about Radico. In COVID time, Radico fell from maybe 500 rupees to 200 rupees. It was like 60% decline. So, but then that is the skill. That do you have the real conviction and do you have the preparedness to see through that volatility of price? And then when you eventually succeed, it looks easy, but it's not easy.
Yeah. I'll summarize our entire podcast by your statement, which you stated in one of the podcasts at CNBC, that stock market is not a means to income, but to create wealth.
Absolutely.
And
100%. And I must say, India is evolving.
Yeah.
And those people like you who are very young will see tremendous amount of wealth creation in this country. We are at $5 trillion market cap. We are aspiring that someday we'll have 25, 30, 35 trillion dollar of GDP. And so will be the stock market will be equally big. So I don't think people must say that it was easy last 30 years. Even in America, there are so many multi-baggers which have happened in last 3 years. Even on a 30, 40 trillion dollar, 50 trillion dollar market cap and market cap. So market is a beautiful place. If you just stick to the game, then you will have a lot of success.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this, sir. Had an amazing time. I hope I could do justice to your time, and thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much, Kushal. Thank you for having me. I hope it is useful for all your viewers and, they get something out of this story.
Absolutely. I am very, very impressed and humbled by your humility. And this is something which I am going to learn and going forward, pass it to my followers as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
अगर आपको ये वीडियो पसंद आया होगा तो आई रिक्वेस्ट यू टू शेयर इट विद ऑल योर फ्रेंड्स एंड सब्सक्राइब टू आवर चैनल सो दैट वी कैन गिव यू मोर वैल्यू एडिटिव कंटेंट इन द शॉर्टेस्ट अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम. हमको ये बताइए कि आपको कौन से काइंड ऑफ गेस्ट चाहिए. हमको ये बताइए कि कौन से क्वेश्चंस मुझे नहीं पूछने चाहिए थे, कौन से क्वेश्चंस मुझे और पूछने चाहिए थे ताकि आपको और ज़्यादा वैल्यू मिल सके, और कौन से ऐसे पार्ट्स हैं जो आपको बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं आए ताकि हम लोग ये पार्ट स्ट्रीम कर सके फ्यूचर एपिसोड्स में. सो थैंक यू सो मच वंस अगेन फॉर वॉचिंग दिस एपिसोड एंड कीप शेयरिंग ऑल आवर एपिसोड्स विद योर फ्रेंड्स एंड कीप गिविंग अस फीडबैक so that we can improve and come up with better quality content.